fucking shit.
What's up, everybody? Actually, I should see if we can hear ourselves again on here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to be talking to nobody yet again.
You ain't going nowhere.
You ain't going nowhere.
I got you for 10 minutes.
Yeah, we can hear ourselves.
There
Woo! Woo! Ric Flair. Gotta do it.
And here we are.
Here we are, yeah. For a Shooting the Shit episode, part 2. Although this is technically part 1 for the stream.
We're not recording yet, right? Just
No. This is just a little, shooting the shit intro, because the Twitch viewers out there deserve to know what episode 1 was about.
Right.
I can't remember because it was about a lot of different
I remember
topics.
what it was about. We talked about like every sport imaginable, and then I can't remember what else we talked about.
I think we talked about some movies, probably.
I think we did.
Maybe some
I remember
TV
telling
shows.
the story about me being at the Broncos win over the Steelers in the wild card game and having
Well, and
to
speaking of
piss
that,
when them-
Demarius Thomas just retired. And
Yeah,
that was in his highlight reel. Was that play?
Of course it is, because it's like the most famous play ever. So
Have you ever watched it?
I've watched it like a million times.
But you just didn't watch it live.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just had to make sure.
Yeah, just to clarify, I was urinating in a bathroom when that happened. So pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, if you, if anyone watches this replay and you want to listen to the first episode of Shooting the Shit, go ahead and go to the Just Browsin page, as you can see on the screen, and you will be able to see the Shooting the Shit episode right here, as you can see me highlighting it. Excuse me. And that would be our first episode 3 weeks ago, almost 4 weeks ago, actually. So feel free to go on, give it a listen and give us your thoughts. But we were going to do a Pixar movie bracket, update, but someone forgot all the brackets, so we're going to delay that.
Well, if someone would build some functionality to where we could track how people fill out their results
all right, well,
via the internet,
that costs money to
on the
set
Podbean
those up.
website. I'm just kidding.
That costs money to
No,
set
I
those
should have
up.
brought them. We had, I want to say, maybe not like 10, but somewhere close to 10 that people filled out. I will say one of Taya's coworkers picked Brave to win the entire thing, which
Well,
I thought
that was brave of her.
that
Or
was
him.
brave. That was a bold move.
Them?
Because that was my least favorite Pixar movie. So
Well, all right.
there you go. People have a variety of opinions.
They do, and they're all entitled to them,
Yep.
even if they're wrong.
You know what they say about those opinions.
All right, well, I think we'll just jump into the episode since we don't really have a structure to follow.
Let's do it.
So let's do it.
Let's do it.
And I actually didn't test this, so this will be our test to see if it
Yeah, do
records
a
today.
quick 2-minute test and see if it works.
Oh, this is health and safety notification of your local supermarket. Our eggs are bad.
That was a really bizarre choice of words to say for the test.
I couldn't think of anything that wasn't like, I was going to say there's like a tornado, but that's bad, If eggs go bad, you just throw them away.
Okay, sure. We'll go with that.
All right, now let's just do a playback real quick.
And we can't
And
hear
we
it.
can't hear it, but it looks like it's recording, so we're just going to go with it.
Lit.
All right. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Just Browsin. Matthew along with Zach today. For those of you that don't know, we are live on twitch.tv/Just Browsin podcast, but today we're going to be doing part 2 of Shooting the Shit. We were supposed to have a structured episode, but we forgot the Pixar movie brackets, so we won't be doing a rewind of that to let people know the results. We'll postpone that probably till next week, or maybe we'll do that next week and we do like the MCU bracket or something, and we'll just do that as a little.
That'll be a good lead in. Yeah, I kind of dropped
lead-in.
the ball this week. I was supposed to bring over. We had a few of the Pixar brackets that were filled out in person, and we actually have some results. And it was going to be kind of a fun thing to go over some of the results other than Matt's picks and my picks. But, of course, I left them at my house before I came over here and didn't realize it till I literally walked up to your door. So that's not going to happen. Yeah,
the
until
Pixar
next
movie.
time.
But that gives you more time to, look in, go ahead and give the episode a listen. We do the full bracket here. I will post on the stream for those that are here. If you do go to the Just Browsin Podbean page, there is a link to the bracket. Feel free to click on it, and then you can follow through as you listen to the episode. And we declare both of our winners, and then, like we said, in a week or so, we'll go through other brackets. So feel free to fill one out and comment on the episode who wins, or the Facebook post, or wherever you want to comment who wins, and we'll be sure to count you in on the statistics of the episode for.
Can you just real quickly go over where to find the bracket on the Podbean website again? Because I did have someone asking me about. They were trying to find it, and they were having a little bit of trouble.
If you're on our Podbean website, and it's justbrowsin.podbean.com, you'll see like the iTunes logo with the Amazon Music, Spotify, Facebook, and if you go right below the Facebook, there is a link to the bracket in a Word doc or a Google Doc, I guess. And you can just print this Google Doc out and fill it out, or just you might be able to just copy paste it to your own Google Doc, because this is a locked one. And then from here, you'll be able to just create text box or whatever you want to do and fill it out. So fairly simple. You can do it that way. There is also a link up at the top called brackets, where we're going to be posting a picture that is not clickable for some reason, as well as the hyperlink to that same Google Doc. So a couple ways you can get to it, and these will all stay here in the brackets page. However, the links to them will disappear once we get our new bracket up, just so we don't clutter our links with 1,000 brackets.
That's what I was actually just going to ask. Like, is the TV show and the movie franchise bracket on there, or are they?
No, so I can work to put those up there. So if people come back and listen to those older episodes, they can look at them. Those are a little bit different because those were built out of a Google template in the Google Sheets.
Right.
And I used a different template to build this that I could just take a screenshot and then post it. So I can work to get those put in there eventually.
I was just curious.
Yeah. But no, this will be the way we'll do it from here on out. I know, it's easier to follow along when you can see the bracket. So there will always be a link to the bracket under the Facebook icon on the Podbean page for Just Browsin, and we're going to put it in at least 2 spots that you can find it. So if you have questions, feel free to comment or shoot us an email. One of us will reach back out to you quickly and let you know.
Yeah, and so we'll have the MCU bracket that will replace that one. Once we build it, we still have to build it.
Right, so MCU will replace this one, and then on the brackets page, though, this one will just get moved down.
Okay.
So I'll just tab down, and then we'll have a picture of the bracket with the hyperlink as well. So you can just copy the link if need be, or, it's going to kind of be a running, Well, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's just going to be like a running page of all the brackets that we're going to be doing probably from here on out. And like I said, I can work to get the other ones put in there.
Yeah, it'd be. I mean, obviously, we don't have to do it, but it's just something that I was thinking about. But yeah, I think that'll be kind of cool because we will have. I'm imagining we're going to have quite a few brackets in the future at some point because it's just a really fun thing to do is just throw stuff like this into brackets. Because we already have an idea for the Disney one, for the MCU one, and then I'm sure there's a bunch more beyond that we could do that we haven't even thought of. But yeah, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. Correct. I'm actually very looking forward to the MCU bracket. Are you looking forward to that one?
I am.
Have you seen all of them? Let me just get that out of the way first.
I think I have. I don't think I've seen 2, but I do have Disney Plus, so I can probably sneak those into my schedule.
Which ones have you not seen?
I haven't seen Thor Ragnarok.
Oof, that's
and I haven't seen Doctor Strange because that one never really was like intriguing to me to watch.
Oh, okay.
So those are the 2. I just never sat down to watch Thor.
Yeah.
And then Doctor Strange just never really. Holy cow! I'm dying. Never really caught my attention to be like a go-to movie for me.
It was pretty. I will say that the MCU has been somehow, and obviously, like I was not a comic book fan prior to these movies, and I'm still have really never read a comic book. I'm interested in the comic book lore, and like after seeing these movies, I'll do reading online and research into people who have actually read the comics, who know all of the backstories and like all these crazy story arcs that these characters went through and all this kind of stuff, who their, arch nemesis is and all this kind of stuff. I'm interested in all that stuff, but when they release movies like a Doctor Strange or an Ant-Man, I come into it kind of going, kind of like you. Like, I'm not particularly interested in a Doctor Strange character.
Right.
Like I am Iron Man or the Hulk or something like that, or maybe even like Wolverine, who's not a part of the MCU, but like they still somehow are able to make very entertaining movies that fit so seamlessly into the rest of the narrative of the MCU,
right.
and they can be just the weirdest, like wildest stories too, and that you're like, how are they gonna like fit this into the whole timeline,
right.
and yet they always somehow manage to do it. Doctor Strange is good, and then it's also crazy how like Doctor Strange and Ant-Man and even Black Panther or like Nebula from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, these characters that you kind of think of as being like these extra kind of side characters that are apart from like the main A squad of the Avengers, end up becoming like really important to the overall story of like the Infinity Stone saga, which is like just amazing to me how
I think they do a good job of, I mean, like you said, there is like the A team of characters. There's the original Avengers.
Yeah.
And but I don't really feel like anyone takes necessarily a back seat.
No, that's the most amazing part about
everyone
it.
in Guardians of the Galaxy has an important role.
Yeah.
And whether you like it or not, like even, Groot, he plays a huge role, and he literally just says, "I am Groot."
Yeah.
And he plays a massive role. People like, people are like, "Yeah, he's just a big tree." And I'm like, "Yeah, but if you pay attention more to the storyline, he's way more involved in this story than you would ever expect him to be." So
that's the thing, is none of them ever. It's not like there's a movie that comes out where they're wanting to do some side story about a kind of a lesser known Marvel Comics character that you end up watching it and you're like, okay, how did that exactly move the story further? Like, how does that fit in with it? You never ask that. You're like, oh, okay, that's how they're connecting it. It's either some sort of a flashback or a flash forward or a cut scene, or even the entire movie is like loosely connected to some Infinity Stone that's going to come in later. And you're like, just, I would honestly be curious to figure out like how the whole story arc is concocted. You know what I mean? Like, because there are screenwriters, sometimes just one, sometimes several for each movie, but then you have, like, say you're making the third movie in a Thor trilogy. Like, there's been 2 Thor movies prior to Thor Ragnarok, which you haven't seen, but so you not only have to make like a satisfying standalone Thor movie, but a satisfying third act of a trilogy of movies, but also have it fit in with all of the other movies that came before and the movies that are going to come immediately after.
Right.
So you have to be like,
it has to fit more than a character storyline.
Right.
It has to fit like a true story.
Yeah. It has to not only be like a satisfying 3-act movie and story about this one character that gets you invested in just their little adventure, but also fit in seamlessly with everything else that's going on, which that means you have to be like in concert with all of these other directors and screenwriters and like people who are crafting their own other stories. Like you as the Thor Ragnarok screenwriter have to know what's going on in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or like Avengers Endgame or whatever, because you got to set all of this up and connect it and make sure you don't say anything that's contradictory to what's being mentioned in another movie.
I feel like it would be harder after like Endgame came out. We already got like, I feel like the climax of the MCU, and now they're coming out with the Black Widow, so it's kind of like, well, we already know everything about her and like what happens and everything, but now we're reintroducing her as herself in her own movie. So I feel like a movie like that would be harder because we're all sitting there like, well, we all know what happens. So
what's the pull?
What's going to get me in there?
I definitely I agree with you, and I have that concern with the MCU moving forward. I will say for Black Widow, when it was first being advertised as coming out last year, my excitement level for it was not as high as most Marvel movies are because we had just gotten off of Endgame. And I was like, okay, that was the big capstone on the entire Infinity Saga. Like, what's next? That we defeated the big bad guy. So it's like, why do I really care about this one Black Widow movie? I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a really cool, exciting, like, spy action movie.
Right.
But why do I really care if we've just beaten Thanos?
Does it add value to the storyline that all led up to Endgame? Because the way I looked at Endgame was it was supposed to be, and we could probably deviate from this topic since we're going to have a whole episode on it, but the way I looked at Endgame was it was supposed to be a, this is it, like, end game.
It's right there in the title.
End of the game. We don't see any more of these characters after this, and they kind of show that. We see. Spoiler alert! If you haven't seen it, then shame on you.
You're like one of the 5 people on the planet who hasn't seen it.
You're Brandon. That's what you are. But you see, Tony Stark dies.
Yeah.
Captain America. When he's going back to return one of the stones, he stays back in the 1940s and marries. I can't remember her name, but.
Sharon. No, Peggy.
Whatever.
Sharon is Peggy's like niece or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's Peggy.
But so then he comes back and he gives up his shield because he's an old man now.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. It's like
it really felt like okay, this is it.
But that also leads me to think more in depth on this because what made Captain America live so long, right?
Okay, hang on. Before we get too much into this.
This was going to be a
side rabbit hole that you want to go into. I just wanted to finish my thought on the Black Widow thing.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
No, you're good.
I know I'm good, but my bad.
My excitement level has increased because the pandemic happened and we got basically 0 new movie releases after March of 2020.
Yeah.
And the ones that we did were like straight to, streaming services that, in my opinion, most of them are not of the same quality of the ones that you normally see in movie theaters. But now that we're getting back to where like theaters are opening again and we're starting to get big blockbusters that are coming out, I'm actually very excited for Black Widow now because it's going to be the first Marvel movie we've had in a very long time, like a year and a half
since
or
Endgame,
something.
Right?
Maybe longer. I don't know. Yeah, because Endgame was 2019. And then, I think the Spider-Man sequel came out after
Homecoming.
That. So
it's
it's
not a Homecoming.
Far From Home. It's the first one since Far From Home, which would have been like the end of 2019. So it's been a long time. And like for the last few years, we're all used to getting at least 2, if not 3 Marvel movies every year.
Right.
So to go a whole like 2 years with no Marvel movies is very strange, which is why like they're kind of giving all of us movie fans and MCU addicts a little teasers with these shows on Disney Plus, which I would like to get into at some point. We don't have to, but anyway, I just wanted to say that my hype levels for Black Widow are now
is increasing.
Yeah, it's
and they still have
really
the Black
starting
Panther 2.
Yeah, well,
to come out
this year. I think we have not only Black Widow, but we have Eternals. We have. I don't know if you've seen the trailers for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
No.
And also, what's the other one I'm forgetting? There's another one that's coming out later this year. I'm spacing. I'll look it up while we're talking.
I know Guardians 3 is supposed to come out soon, but I don't think it's
sure
this
if that.
year.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be this year. Maybe it's Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't know. But we're supposed to get like 4 by the end of the year. And like we were talking about this a couple of podcasts ago.
They usually do it
like, dude, it's almost
3 months.
July. Yeah, like you guys are going to cram 4 movies into like the 3rd and 4th quarters of the year, which is going to be like Marvel overload. And they're going to be doing shows. Like there's still several more shows that they're planning to debut on Disney Plus. Plus, I don't know if like the ones that are already out are going to get second seasons. Maybe that's a little bit further on down the line. But
well, maybe I'll save.
They're just churning out content, man.
Maybe I'll save my thought because it's more of a conspiracy theory on like the whole Infinity Stones and all of that shit.
We should save that for the bracket podcast.
Yeah,
because I feel like we're going to really.
I've got like a lot of
movies.
questions, and maybe they get answered in the comics. But like you said, you don't necessarily read the comics or have read the comics, and neither have I. So I would be really like interested to, or maybe we just make our own conspiracy theories and we can start our own conspiracy theory page called the Just Browsin Conspiracy Theories.
That is,
and we'll do that on Saturdays for the Just Slippers podcast
on Sunday mornings. That's like literally one of the main things that people used the internet for when the internet first got started, is discussing film theories and like opinions on movies. That's
Bro.
like literally what it's. So like
Interstellar. Oh man.
Yeah,
We had discussions about that we've literally created ideas for us to have solo episodes on because there's just so much involved.
Yeah, if you ever want to, like, this is what I do. If there's ever a movie that you see that's kind of a mind bender, or even like a Marvel Comics thing, you just go straight to the internet afterwards, or go straight to Reddit and dive down a rabbit hole. And dude, the theories that people have about movies on Reddit are incredible. And even like Game of Thrones, like you're going back through and rewatching Game of Thrones for the second time.
Dude,
The
such
theories,
a good show.
the theories that existed out there while that show was going on were like remarkable. And some of them you read them and you're like, I want to see this. Like,
right,
I don't know if
it's
that's
a better
what
storyline than the actual storyline.
I don't know if this is what they're going to do, but I kind of want to see them do that. Someone needs to make this story. Like people have some really creative ideas out there.
Yeah, it's because I feel like some people are way more creative than the writers. They just don't have that skill to put it all on paper or type it up and type it up in
and have it be
like
a concise story.
They're like, I got all these great ideas. I just don't know how to mesh them together, or I don't even know how to create a character.
Yeah.
But I got this massive, great idea, and then someone kind of comes out with it, but you're like, oh, if I just had you to write for me,
I think there's. As someone who has watched a lot of movies and read a lot of books, I think there are authors that you come across, and there's also screenwriters that you come across that you can kind of tell, like, this guy is great at ideas. Like, he's a great concepts guy. He can build a world and create a cool story and plot and everything, but he's not necessarily, like, a good writer.
He struggles with, like, really giving you the full story in his creative world.
But then there's other writers that you get that are like technically amazing writers, but they're not maybe necessarily as good at coming up with these amazing concepts, which is why it's always like lightning in a bottle when you get a George R.R. Martin who is like a technically really good writer and also amazing at building a world and bringing you into this amazing fantasy that he's created.
I think, going back to Game of Thrones, because like you said, I am rewatching it, and it's been over a week since I started it. And I am only on season 2.
Okay,
so
good. So you're taking your time a little bit.
I'm taking my time. But it's kind of interesting because there's medieval movies, which if you went into Game of Thrones without much knowledge, that's exactly what you would think of. It's a medieval, from my understanding, and if you watch like the intro scene, it's the battle of pretty much the United Kingdom. Like, the island is pretty much what the UK looks like.
Well, he, just really quickly, if you watch a bunch of George R.R. Martin interviews, he has loosely based a lot of this stuff on actual history. Like, some of the stuff that happens mirrors events that have happened with real life people in history.
So, like, what I was going to say is if you watch, like, I don't know if you've ever watched King Arthur with Keira Knightley's the only one I can think of off the top of my head in the movie. But it's a live-action King Arthur.
There's been so many of them. Did you see the newest one with the guy who played Jax Teller from Sons of Anarchy?
I did see that one.
I kind of like that one. That was cool.
I like the old one with Keira Knightley, and there's the Knights of the Round Table like involved in that.
Who was in that? I'm going to look that up while you're talking.
But you know what movie I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Well, he goes and he defends, or they go up past a wall in the north. Yeah. And they fight wildlings, more or less. They fight, the native tribes or whatever they call them that were on like the Britannias or whatever. So like looking back on that, a lot of the medieval stuff follows, but then all of a sudden he works in dragons and he works in like different creatures and then different people from different land that like, the Dothraki would never cross water, and all of a sudden now they're ready to cross water. Like,
I found the one that you're talking about, and Clive Owen plays Arthur in that one. There's actually a lot of really famous actors. The dude who played Mr. Fantastic from those old Fantastic Four movies is in there. Joel Egerton, who's been in a lot of stuff. Mads Mikkelsen was the bad guy from Casino Royale. There's a lot of famous actors in here.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I recommend it.
I actually don't know if I've seen this version.
You should watch it. I like it. It's a good movie.
Directed by Antoine Fuqua. He's really good, too. There's been a lot of King Arthur adaptions.
But it's like going like I said.
Sorry,
Game
to
of
go back to
Thrones
your point.
It's just you look at it and you're like, I feel like I've seen this before in certain movies. But then you follow through the show and there's so many different things that go on that you're like you said, he took historical events, but he skews them into a fictional fantasy world
Yeah.
that just is like, it's so fascinating and captivating that you're just like glued to it. And you can see that with how the show did.
Yeah.
Everybody that watched, I haven't heard one bad thing about it.
Yeah.
And if you find a person that doesn't like it, then they probably just don't have good taste in life. They probably,
I had a lot of fun doing our Game of Thrones podcast. I will say, since we did do our Iron Throne episode, which for anyone who's listening right now who hasn't listened to that one, go back and check out our Iron Throne episode. That was when Matt had watched the entirety of Game of Thrones in about 4 days somehow.
We could probably do another one once I rewatch, like once I finish it again after I do it slowly, because I'm taking it more in.
If you want to, I'm down. Because I was going to say, since we did that episode, I have since finished the books and read the prequel book as well. So I have more Game of Thrones perspective.
Nerd. That's almost as bad as me watching them in a week.
Well, it took me like 6 months to read all the books.
It also took you 4 years to watch Band of Brothers.
Yeah, and The Sopranos. Took me forever to watch.
And you still haven't seen The Pacific, have you?
No, I've seen them both.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, I watched them during the pandemic.
We can still do an episode on them.
We definitely should. I was
Like a
actually
World War
thinking
II
about that
episode.
today. I don't know what I was listening to. Someone was bringing. Oh, the book I'm reading right now. Actually, one of the characters. It's like his grandfather was in World War II, and I started thinking about World War II, and then I started thinking about Band of Brothers and stuff. What a great show. And Saving Private Ryan and stuff.
Saving
You started
Private
thinking
Ryan.
all that. Love it.
Dunkirk.
Oh my God. So King was in town and he spent the night at our house and we were trying to figure out a movie to watch. And he's like, have you guys seen Dunkirk? And I was like, it's a masterpiece.
You were like, don't get me started.
I was
on
like,
it.
I own it. I will put it in the Blu-ray.
That's one of those movies I feel like you have to have like a really good sound bar for.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can't use TV audio for that because, you just don't get into it.
It's not the same.
You're like, huh?
You and me saw it in IMAX and it was like, you
Bro, that was, like,
literally
mind-boggling.
felt like bombs were going off right
Yeah.
next to you. Like it was loud.
It was fun.
It was
Well,
it was perfect for that too.
fun
It
in
was-
terms of going to a movie. The
Right.
storyline's not fun, but it was
Yeah.
fun in terms of going to the movie.
It was a fantastic movie going experience. That movie blew my mind. Oh my God.
Dude, so good. I wish
We could do like a war movies podcast too. We don't even have to put them in a bracket.
we could
Just
just
talk
do a
about
war
our
movies
favorite.
bracket.
Yeah, we could put them in a bracket. There's enough. I'm sure you could put them in a bracket.
We
'Cause,
could.
if
We could
you,
literally make brackets for everything we do. We could do like a fast food bracket.
oh yeah, I love brackets, dude. It's the Just Brackets podcast.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you even considered like any war ever, that's a lot of movies.
Yeah, I mean, you could throw Rambos in war movies.
Yeah, like Troy
Lord of the
and
Rings.
like Alexander. and-
Yeah, you could throw Lord of the Rings in.
I guess. Well, no, that's more of like a fantasy movie.
But it's war for Middle Earth.
Well, we would have to say like these are all like
come up with
actual wars.
like historical
historical-
events.
yeah,
Even if the
historical
fictional
wars.
is fictional.
If it's
but
fictional, but it takes place in a real war, then
Right.
we can include it. Yeah. And you could even do like
You know,
movies
what
like
movie was let down is the USS Indianapolis. I think I told you about that.
was that the one with Nick Cage?
Yeah, such.
I
a
haven't seen that.
So I feel like the storyline was there and everything, but you watch it and the CGI looks like we're going back to like
Well,
it's just like I made it. Like I made it here in my studio. That's how bad it was.
well, I think Nick Cage. So to go on a quick Nick Cage tangent,
he maxed out at Con Air.
I think what happened is he got into a lot of tax trouble, and he just does like any movie now to make any money.
I think it was directed by a big
Was it?
name director.
I
though.
never saw that one. The thing is, there's like 15 new Nick Cage movies that come out every single year, and maybe like one of them is worth watching, but you got to like pluck through all of them to figure out which one's worth
You
watching.
have to suffer.
And I
14
just,
times.
I just don't do it. I'm like, I'll let other people watch all these and tell me which ones are worthwhile. He did do one a few years ago. I think I was still in college. It's just called Joe, and it's actually pretty good. Like he
Never heard of it.
gives like a real performance. You know, like it looks like he actually cares instead of he's just doing it for
Like
the
he
check.
tries.
But we got to the hotel the other day. I turned on HBO and I don't even know what movie this was, but it was a Nick Cage movie, and it looked like one of his earlier ones, like from the 90s. And I was like, you know what? I miss Nick Cage in good movies.
Dude, like Con Air. That was a good movie.
The ultimate 90s movie, dude. That is the ultimate 90s movie.
Or what was it when he's like an arms smuggler?
Lord of War, I
Lord of
think.
War.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. Like Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yeah.
National Treasure.
Dude, National Treasures were probably his last good movies.
And that's sad because they were like in like 04 or something.
Well,
hang on, really quickly.
I want them to come out with a National Treasure 4 where they go and find like El Chapo's like hidden money, or
I was gonna ask
Pablo
you,
Escobar's hidden money or something.
Did you see the movie Greyhound with Tom Hanks? Because we were talking about war movies. Did you see this one? It's a new.
That's the one, the Battle of Midway.
I think it's actually only on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I think that's the Battle of Midway, right?
Several months after the U.S. entry into World War II, an inexperienced U.S. Navy commander must lead an Allied envoy being stalked by a German submarine wolf pack.
No, that's not the one by Midway then.
I didn't know if you had seen this one yet, because I know you're a big like this seems.
No,
like it's
but
right
I
up
would.
your alley.
Yeah, I would definitely watch it.
I do have Apple TV Plus now. Maybe I should check this out. But yeah, I think a war movie podcast would be a blast, dude. I love war movies.
We have to almost split it up though, because there's differences. Like Troy, how can you put Troy against like a Saving Private Ryan, or how do you put Troy against, You could. Well, there haven't been that many World War I movies. There's been a lot of World War II movies, and I feel like a lot of Vietnam 1917
movies.
for World War I would take the cake for me.
Yeah, it's like that's like really the only one I can even
ever
name.
beat that.
I don't even know what else is out there. I mean, I think there are some really good ones. I just don't think I've seen them. But then there's a bunch of really good Vietnam movies, but there's not a lot of like
there's not a lot of Korea. I don't even know of a Korean war. I'm sure that I know there are Korean war movies, but me personally, I don't know.
Well, I think there's only like
my grandpa fought in Korea.
Yeah, I think there's only like a couple Civil War movies too. Although maybe there's more than I'm thinking of.
There's a little bit more, I feel like, Civil War wise. Like you could probably do. I think it's like the Free State of Jones.
I still haven't seen that,
dude. Great movie.
It's on Netflix. One of my coworkers recommended that to me like 2 years ago, and I still haven't watched it.
Great movie.
Dude, I'm a big McConaughey fan.
I don't know if watch it and then let me know if you think of it as a Civil War movie.
Well, it is, right? Like it's set during the Civil War,
right? He's a Southerner.
It's based on a true story too, right?
Like he's a Southerner, and I think he's in the Confederate Army, and he tries to create this free state of Jones, more or less, where
they oppose the Confederacy, right?
Yeah, right. But they're not necessarily agreeing with the North.
Yeah.
And I'm not remembering it all, so don't quote me on that. But
it
is a good movie. I do recommend that movie for anyone that wants to watch a good Civil War movie.
Well, so if we were gonna do a war movie so we had to decide if we're gonna do a bracket or just do a podcast and like list our favorite war movies.
I feel like if we were to do a bracket, we would have to categorize them, and we'd have to pick the top one out of each. So we'd have to do World War II movies, and then they all fight each other to get to the best World War II movie. Then you'd have to do like
I see. Okay. Civil War movies. Or like medieval war movies.
Right. Or like if we can't find enough for one category, you just kind of go like miscellaneous war movies.
Yeah.
And you put them all in one.
I think we'd have to say they have to be based on actual wars.
Right.
Because like Lord of the Rings, obviously great war scenes, but it's a fictional universe.
Right, but you could put Braveheart into a war.
Oh, for sure.
But then it's like, what do you put that in?
Well, it could go against you Troy,
put the Patriot in
Alexander.
There.
Oh, the Patriot's a good one, dude.
Which, by the way, I started watching that on Netflix, and then I stopped because I had a meeting and I forgot I was watching it. So I have the Patriot primed.
Patriot's so good, man.
But it's like, where do you put that? Because Civil War-wise, there's not a lot that I would watch out there.
Right.
Besides the Patriot. I mean, that is like...
Well, that's a Revolutionary War movie.
All right. Did I say Civil War?
You said Civil War. Yeah.
Long Day.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's a good point. Like, what other Revolutionary War movies are there? I'd have to look.
Like, I know there are other ones, but it's like, what other ones that would stick in your mind? Like,
there is that show that AMC did called Turn, which is all about like.
I watched a little bit of that.
Yeah, I haven't ever seen it.
But then, like Cold War movies. There's Cold War movies.
There are
that was never a.
Yeah,
they call it
that
a war,
would actually be. Those are more like there's a bunch
died.
of really great spy movies that are set during the Cold War, like really great ones. Ooh, this is getting my.
There's just a lot. I just feel like there's a lot of possibility out there, and I feel like we'd have to really try and limit ourselves and really devise a strategy for that kind of an episode. Because if you put saving what would you put 300? Because 300 is technically based off of You know.
Yeah, even though that's based on a graphic novel, like the Battle of Thermopylae is a real thing.
Right. But for the movie-wise, 300 would be the movie you would want to use.
Right. So I pulled up. Should we just run through a list of the 50 best war movies ever made? We won't know a lot of these, but I'll just start rattling them off because we're forgetting a lot of them. Okay, War Horse is on here. Have you ever seen that? I was just telling my dad the other day, any movie that involves the horse being a main character, you can just count me out. I'm not interested. For whatever reason, it's just
Have you seen Hidalgo?
I think I have seen it, but I tried to force it out of my memory. I saw it a long time ago.
Because it's... Like, the
It's
horse
just
isn't the
boring,
main story,
dude. I don't
but
care about horses. I just don't. Like,
I like Hidalgo. It's kind of fun. There's a lot more to it than just a horse.
I know. I'm being very disingenuous, but like for me as a viewer, I'm just like, oh, it's about a horse. No, thank you. I don't know.
What if it's about a dog? Would you watch Lassie? Or are you just biased against horses?
Movies about animals, I just really don't care. If
For
it's
all of
about the animal.
For all of our horse
You know,
listeners out there, I apologize for my co-host's ignorance towards you.
You know, if there's a good movie that has animals in it, then great. But if it's about that, like any movies that come out that are like about dogs and like the dogs talk and stuff, I'm like, no, thank you.
What about Pets?
No, thank you. I'm not 7.
Did you ever see Pets, the animated one?
I don't think so.
Watch it. It'll change your mind.
I've heard the Secret Life of Pets is really funny.
Or that's what it is, the Secret Life of
the
Pets.
animated one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch that. I don't know why I call it Pets. Long day. Long day.
Yeah, I was like under the impression Pets was a different movie.
No. Secret Life of Pets. Watch it if you haven't.
Have you ever seen Courage Under Fire? I think that's a Civil War one, actually.
No.
Oh, no, it's about the Gulf War. I've never seen that.
But see, like Jarhead would be a Gulf War
I did not
movie.
like Jarhead.
It's because it's not necessarily like a war
Black
movie.
Hawk Down.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The Last of the Mohicans is one of my dad's favorite movies ever.
That's a Mel Gibson movie, right? Doesn't he direct it?
I don't think he did direct that.
Or does he? No,
It's starring Daniel Day-Lewis.
He directs Apocalypto.
Yeah.
That's what the one I was thinking about.
A lot of these are like older ones that I'm not really
like A
familiar
Bridge
with.
Too Far is a great World War II movie.
I haven't seen that one.
I mean, it's an older one,
Three Kings,
but I like it.
Three Kings is pretty good. Hang on, we got a lot in here. I've heard The Deer Hunter is excellent. I've never seen The Deer Hunter. That's a Vietnam one, I think. Da Five Bloods just came out. That's the new, who is it? Spike Lee. It just came out on Netflix last year. Haven't seen that one. Let's see. Patton. You ever seen Patton?
I have not.
Platoon. Have you ever seen Platoon? I've still never seen it, actually.
I don't think I have. I'm sure I've seen like The Dirty Dozen. Like
have you seen Letters from Iwo Jima?
I have seen that. That's a great movie.
Haven't seen that one. I've heard All Quiet on the Western Front is pretty amazing too, and it's like based on a like classic novel, I think too, or not novel, but classic book. Or yeah, it is a novel. Full Metal Jacket. That's a good one. That's actually one of the Stanley Kubrick movies that I actually do really like. The Great Escape. I've actually never seen that. The Bridge on the River Kwai. Never seen that. Oh, Inglourious Bastards. Ooh.
But that's that's a tough one though, because it's very loosely based on true stories.
Right. Well, which I think we can talk about this, but I think that should qualify because a lot of war movies are fictional stories set in a real war, and that's what Inglourious Bastards is.
Oh yeah.
Even though he wildly
fucking
changes the history, he plays with fictional history, but it is a World War II movie. It's just a fictional story.
Right.
Let's see. Dunkirk. Oh my God. The
yeah.
Hurt Locker.
The Hurt
Dude, The
Locker.
Hurt Locker is
Yeah.
excellent. I forgot about that one. Let's see.
But you got to remember, there's like
Apocalypse Now. I've actually still never seen Apocalypse Now.
Act of Valor. You got
Saving Private Ryan.
American Sniper. You
The
got
Thin Red Line.
Like, would you count 13
Paths of
Hours?
Glory. Oh yeah, for sure. 13 Hours is a war movie.
But what war is it technically on?
Well,
Because it's not necessarily in a...
Do we just call that the Iraqi War? Is that what that's called? What do people refer to that as?
I feel like you'd have to call it the war in the Middle East, but it's in Africa. It's not really technically in the Middle East.
13 Hours?
It's in Benghazi. Yeah, here. It's in... where's my mouse?
13 Hours is a great one, though. That would for sure be in there. That would kind of go in the whole category of like the Black Hawk Downs and the...
But Black Hawk Down is... Well, I guess that... Well... I can't
like
remember.
in
Did
terms
that
of
happen
in terms of like
a-
modern war films. You know what I mean? Hurt Locker,
Right.
Black Hawk Down,
So,
13 Hours.
So like here's Iraq, right? And here's, Afghanistan, Pakistan, where the battle, like our wars have been. And this is where 13 Hours took place, is in Benghazi.
Oh, I didn't even
So
know
it's
that.
it's in Africa.
Shows how much I know.
So it's I mean, it's not a far ways away because this is considered the Middle East right here. But
Well, that
I don't
one would
know what
definitely
you
go
would
in
call
there.
it because technically they weren't supposed to be there.
Right.
The whole premise of that was
Right.
that operation never existed. Yet 2 Americans died.
I didn't know a lot of these actually. And these are like the best ones. Maybe I should categorize by like
You got Lone Survivor too.
oof, that's a good one. That's like maybe Sam's favorite movie ever. Should I do best which war? Which ones do we want to look at?
Do World War II. I feel like World War II is probably the
Best World War II movies. This one's going to be fun, dude. I can't wait to do this one, actually. We should write this down before we forget.
Well, the nice thing is we have video of it.
Oh,
as well as a podcast of it, so we have audio recording.
And a recording of it. Yeah, that's a good point.
But, I mean, if you want to write it down, you also have a computer you can type it on.
Okay, The Great Escape. Come and see The Imitation Game. Have you ever seen The Imitation Game?
I have not.
That's actually really good. I'm a big fan of that movie. Dunkirk. I did not want to see Jojo Rabbit. I'm like not interested in that movie at all for whatever reason. Never heard of Stalingrad. Oh, Defiance, dude. Have you ever seen Defiance?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good dude. That's an underrated movie, I feel like.
So, would we also? I think we've discussed this before, but would we also include? Why can't I think of it? When it's a Brad Pitt, he's a spy for the
Allied.
We
Yeah.
have to include that because it's
Yeah, for sure.
a World War II.
I think what I should do is I should look up just lists of World War II movies because this is like this person's opinion on what the best ones are.
You might have to do like a modern
Yeah.
World War II because we're gonna have a different taste.
Like best World War II movies since 1980 or something. you know?
Right.
'Cause
Casablanca is a good movie.
I've never seen Casablanca.
Oh, we watched that in high school, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe I had to watch that in college.
That came out in 1942. See, there's a lot of like older ones that are pretty amazing. Whereas like
Wasn't it crazy that a World War II movie came out in 1942, pretty much at the start of World War II for the U.S.?
yeah, I guess that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Because it's not. I mean, it's not a U.S. story.
There's a movie
really.
Midway.
But like Pearl Harbor,
Yep. Unbroken. I never did see Unbroken, but a lot of
dude,
people
that
like
is
one.
a
Fury.
intense movie. Oh,
We're
Fury.
forgetting about Fury. Oh my god.
Such a good movie.
Did you see the movie Overlord?
No, the whole Nazi zombie thing just. I'm not a zombies fan.
It slightly missed the mark and could have been awesome, but it was instead just kind of okay.
It was entertaining for the 2 hours you were there.
It was fine, but I was
it was
expecting
a letdown when you left.
I was expecting it was building up towards this like big reveal where you think you might get like I'm not really spoiling anything, but like
You're not. Gonna
I was
spoil it
kind
for
of
me.
thinking we were gonna get like this boss zombie, almost like in a video game, or like the reason why the explanation for like where the Nazis were getting this like ability that they were kind of turning people into zombies, but you just never get it. It just kind of ended. So I don't know. What was that, by the way?
That was an alert because my brother did follow the stream. He just followed it
Oh, nice.
when we weren't live, so I just replayed the alert. So thanks, Ryan, for the follow.
Thanks, Ryan. Dude, The Monuments Men is a super boring movie, by the way. Don't watch that. It's got like a stacked cast, and you would think it'd be an amazing World War II movie, and it's incredibly boring.
Well, that's good.
Dude, oh my God, Valkyrie. Have you ever seen Valkyrie?
Oh, Valkyrie's so good.
Excellent.
Imagine, like, if that came true, though. Like, imagine what the world could have been like, or, like, what would have been different about the
If
world
German loyalists had actually killed
Hitler.
yeah. That's like one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies. That's a really good movie.
He failed, though.
Yeah, well, I
He was
mean,
a failure.
That is
Imagine
one of the
a
rare
movie.
examples of Tom Cruise failing in a movie. His character never
doesn't
fails.
he fail in the Mummy, the new Mummy? I've never seen it, but
Not good. I don't think he really fails.
you know what turned me away from that movie was the fact that I was so hyped on the Mummy and the Mummy Returns that they come out with this one and like it's a demon mummy, and I'm like, it's a fucking mummy already. Why do we have to make it like a demon mummy?
Well, and it was basically just like a hot chick with like some mummy makeup on. Like she didn't really look like a mummy. You know what I mean?
like Emotep.
It wasn't like Emotep, you know, where he's got like
He's
he's
scarabs
like
still
sucking
crawling.
people. Yeah, he's like sucking people's skin off.
God,
and, like
dude, what
it's
great
still
movies.
like got holes in it, and he's got those little beetles running in and out of
Do
his
you
mouth.
like the first or
and shit.
second one better?
Ooh. It's hard to not say number 1 is the best, but number 2 I feel like is on equal footing.
Those two were so good, and then you get to the
The third
Dragon
one is
Emperor, and
just
you're like,
what is this?
why?
What is this?
I felt, yeah, that one just. The female character, I can't remember her name. Of course, I'm not good with
Is it Evie? Something?
Evie, yeah, but I can't
Evie
remember
something?
her in life, her real name.
Oh.
She backed out of that movie to go for other movies because she didn't like the director.
Oh.
And I'm
yeah,
like,
because
well,
they totally
no wonder.
recast her, didn't they? It was like some other
Yeah,
chick playing Evie, and I'm like, what are we doing here?
yeah, because those two movies were just so good. And then the last one came out, I'm like, I'm hyped.
So her name is Rachel Weisz,
Okay,
and she's
and
very good actress.
isn't
She's
she
been in a lot
also?
of good
Is she
shit.
the girl that's in Allied and Batman as Raz's daughter?
No, but I will tell you
They
what
look
she
alike.
is in. They do look alike. Let's see. What would you have seen?
Probably. None
She's
of
in the
them.
Bourne Legacy.
Are you a big? Oh yeah, you had the Bourne trilogy going, or
Dude, the Bourne movies.
the Bourne movies going far.
Are dope. She's in Fred Claus. I don't know if you remember her from that
I
movie.
have watched Fred, but I don't
She's in.
remember
Oh,
him.
she's in Constantine. You ever seen Constantine?
I don't know.
She's in a bunch of shit.
I've seen too many movies.
But yeah, dude, the Mummy movies were pretty awesome. When did this come out? The first Mummy movie came out in '99.
Great movies.
And then when did the second one come out? The Mummy Returns. 2001.
You know, a movie was really bad though, but I also still really liked it. The Scorpion King.
I knew you were going to say that. So that's one of Taya's favorite movies, like ever.
I love that movie, but if you go back
Compared
and
to
you
The
look
Mummy,
at
it's
it-
definitely not as good.
No, but if you go back and you look at it, you're like, this is just really cheesy and kind of stupid.
Yeah, and
but
it's
but
like,
it's really entertaining still. You're like,
when did
this
that
is-
one come out too? Because I think
I feel like it has to be before The Mummy
it's
Returns.
2002. It almost looks like a '90s movie when you watch it. It's like very, you know how there's
That's
some
when
movies,
The Rock slowly starting to.
Yeah, it was
gain
like him
ground.
kind of at the very beginning of becoming a big movie star.
Still love that movie though. I'll still
It's-
watch it every time it's on.
It's
TV.
great, dude. You know how there's like some movies that are very reminiscent of the time period they came out in? Like they look like
The
they're a
Mummy-
90s movie. Like the Mummy movies and the Scorpion King, to me, I always think of as like 90s movies, which the first one is. But they're like very early 2000s because there was like this transition that happened like early 2000s to mid 2000s where you go from getting like Scorpion King type movies to like Jason Bourne and shit like that. And then there was like this resurgence of action movies and spy movies in the
Right.
mid 2000s and all this kind of stuff. So like you can see movies that are like, oh, that one looks like it came out in the 2010s. That one looks like an early 2000s movie. That like Con Air is definitely a 90s
Oh,
movie.
dude, Con Air though is so good.
It's excellent, but you're like, this is the most 90s
you
shit
know it's
I've ever
90s
seen.
when they land in Vegas.
Oh yeah.
When they go landing on the strip and you look at the casinos and you hear like all the coins hitting the things.
Dude, the one thing that gets me about watching Con Air, there'll be like these action sequences that will go on for like 20 minutes where it's just action and shooting and there's like cars exploding and the planes slowly crashing. And there's like this music that is just like slowly ramping up the whole time. And the music like never stops. And it's like the most 90s music you could possibly imagine. And it just goes on for the entire action sequence. And you're like, this is the loudest movie ever. It's just like loud explosions, loud music.
Just
and then
never stops.
Nick Cage with his weird hair, like that stringy hair
He's like
that
bald,
he has.
yeah.
And that weird like southern accent he's going for in that movie. Oh my God.
Still a great movie.
Great movie.
And I'll
Yeah,
watch
Con
it
Air.
all.
Con Air is awesome. But then there's like, you know, The Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller's Day Off are like 80s movies. Like
Right.
you just see that and you think of the 80s and Back to the Future and shit like that. You know what I mean?
But then you watch like the first, and I'll just segue us into this real quick. You watch like the first Harry Potter.
Oh yeah,
and you're like, that's a '90s movie because
it does. Sure it does have like a '90s
like,
feel.
You would think it was made in '99, but I'm pretty sure it was released in '01.
Yeah, I mean it's about as close to the '90s as you can get with being. It's very early.
But then you watch the last one, you're like, holy shit, that could literally have come out 2 weeks ago.
Exactly,
and that's
what I mean. Like you can tell the difference in the way we shoot movies now because. From the first Harry Potter to the last Harry Potter looks way different, and like the way they use the practical effects, and the lighting they use, and all this kind of stuff. And obviously, it's obvious to state that the CGI has gotten much better since then in the last 20 years.
You would think with CGI getting much better, we wouldn't in some movies or like at least instances in movies, the CGI regresses like really bad.
Some of them do not age well.
Some of them you look at and you're like, this is bad. Like my first example, and I know I've brought this up multiple times, is in The Force Awakens. When you see some of the, other aliens or whatever you want to call them in Star Wars, and you're like, you guys look almost as bad as the ones that were released in the 70s.
You think so?
Some of them do.
I never really noticed that.
Like the first guy, when BB-8 was captured in the net out in like the desert, and Rey goes and saves him. Like the guy and then whatever thing he's riding, look so cheesy to me.
I think it's because they're trying really hard to do practical effects with those. Like you can tell those are like. It's like a puppet, and it's like an actual animatronic like thing he's riding on.
Right, but just do CGI because it looks bad in my opinion.
Well, here's the thing that you run into with that is if you do like the prequel Star Wars movie route and everything is CGI, then if the CGI doesn't age well, then the movie kind of looks like shit. You know what I mean? Whereas like if you
your movie looks like shit though if you do it wrong.
If you do the Jurassic Park route where it's like there's some CGI, but it's a lot of like animatronics and practical effects, it holds up way longer than if it's like all green screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I feel like Jurassic Park's different because Jurassic Park you have a T-Rex, which is like the main dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
So you make one.
Yeah.
And then you have a couple other dinosaurs that you can make. But none of them are really in, like, super big action scenes.
Yeah, the Velociraptors are actually in probably most of the action scenes. But those are actual, like, animatronic, Velociraptors.
But they did those really well. Right. The Star Wars just... It's like they took the easy way out. It's like, sorry, Disney,
I did not get that impression from watching The Force Awakens, I'll be honest.
But you also go into it, you're like, this is the greatest movie ever.
Well, no, not necessarily.
No one else's opinions are right.
No.
Fuck everybody. Star Wars is best.
Star Wars rules. Yeah, obviously.
Harry Potter's better, and we're going to do a Harry Potter episode coming here soon.
Okay, so we have our next few podcasts lined up. So we have to do an MCU bracket.
Yep.
We have to do a Disney bracket.
Yep.
We have to do a war movies episode,
whether it's a bracket
or just talking about our favorite war movies, and we have to do I literally just blanked on
Harry Potter.
We have to do a Harry Potter.
On Harry Potter, like it's. Not
I'm putting it on my list because I have a running list of podcast concepts, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it in there now. So I don't.
We have so many ideas.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to start doing 3 shows a week.
We can try. I don't know if I have that much time, but we can try.
No, you're going to quit your job. This is your new job.
Are you offering a 401k and like health insurance and all that?
Why are you asking me? You're a part owner.
Are we offering 401k? Are we paying ourselves? Do we make money? We don't make money.
No, because we don't want to give people ads yet.
Right.
Yet's the key word, though. When we get big, it's all about that ad revenue. No. We'll just be sponsored by Fabletics.
Dude, you and your Fabletics.
That's where we're going to make our money is from a Fabletics sponsorship.
You are out of control. Where is my note of podcast ideas?
See, he can't even come prepared with notes.
It's literally the third one down. Okay.
It says podcast ideas.
It literally does. It was like, I just kept going right by it.
Can we just talk about how bad iPhone notes are for a second? You can't like title them, or at least last time I put a note in, you can't title your note. It's just whatever's on the first line.
Yeah.
That's really annoying.
It would be nice to have a title.
I don't need to put the title on the first line. Let me just put my first line as my first line. It's just a real shame.
Hey, I have something else that we can maybe talk about right now, depending on how long it's going to take. How long have you been going? Do you know?
It depends on if you want to slack today or no.
Oh, I'm ready to go, dude.
We've been talking for 50 minutes already.
Okay. Because I feel like
about movies.
I feel like this may take us
Years.
A while. What else was I just listing? Because I had war movies. I forgot to put the Disney movie bracket.
MCU, Harry Potter. I think it was only 4, right?
This is embarrassing. We were talking about this
You had
8 minutes ago.
war movies.
Not even that.
The MCU bracket.
Okay.
Harry Potter.
Okay.
Disney bracket.
Right.
I think that was it.
Is that it? Okay. I got all those on here. You know what else I still have? Okay, so some of these we've talked about, but you know what I have on here that we haven't like done a full episode on yet? Quantum physics and the many worlds theory.
We're going to have to really plan that one out.
I can't wait to do that one. That one sounds like a blast. This is what I was going to bring up to see if you wanted to talk about it right now or if we should dedicate our own whole episode to it. But I wanted to talk about like the rise of all these streaming services and the possible future of the movie business and like how we're going to consume movies into the future. I feel like that could maybe be kind of a long conversation.
Depends how in depth you want to go into it.
Hang on, let me list a couple other things. We also had I was going to do a favorite TV season ever.
Oh yeah.
Like favorite season of any TV show ever. Best time travel movie. We could do a whole bracket of time travel movies.
We could do literally a bracket of everything.
We already did Aliens. We wanted to do one on just technology, like all kinds of technology, and it's like rapid advancement. And all
we got to remember to slowly start to plan in going back to all of our movie flashbacks too, and adding in all of the movies. We got to
like more movies come out, like F9, like Fast 9 is coming out. You're saying
no. I'm saying like. We did our movie flashbacks for each year that you went and saw the movies in theaters. We got to remember to add all the ones you've seen from that year.
You're right.
And see if it changes our top 5. But that's going to be a lot of work because I didn't save any of those documents because they all got...
It's all right, I got you.
Like my top 5s.
Oh.
So I'm going to have to go back to every episode and try
and
find my top 5.
I have gone back and I think I've worked my way through 2017. Maybe it was only 2016.
But we'll have to.
But I've gone back, re-looked at the Wikipedia release schedule, added in all the movies I've seen since then, and switched around my top 5. So we could start those whenever. I mean, we have a few episodes of ideas we can do.
And then we can also if you want to add this. I saw, and we both have it pulled up as far as like the NBA playoffs go. I feel like we could just do a little episode on that and not necessarily just throw that in now.
Yeah.
And we'll just let it get to like the finals because.
How about we do that?
We're close to a finals matchup. But with that being said, Giannis actually left the game due to a left knee hyperextension.
Yeah,
and Trae Young didn't play tonight. So the two stars of that, he's got a bruise in his foot.
Oh, interesting. Well, we keep saying we're going to do a whole NBA playoffs episode, and we don't do it, but I think maybe waiting for the NBA Finals to be set would actually be a pretty good idea, and then we can.
I think we do that.
Dive in at that point. It looks like the Hawks are going to win by a lot.
Yeah, and I think it would be easier to do that. I know we talked about it a little bit. I think in the first episode of Shooting the Shit, or maybe one of. Oh no, it's probably in the episode we didn't load.
Well,
we were just sitting here.
We did do a little bit of that, but we did also touch on it in the first Shooting the Shit episode, and basically. We just shit all over the NBA and how soft it is and how it's dumb that no one ever follows any of the rules like traveling and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, don't get me started on how soft it is.
I think we need to we could talk about all that in our NBA episode, but I think
we should.
We should maybe structure it more instead of having it be so much of us just being like, the NBA fucking sucks. Be like, okay, here's our favorite players.
We'll go through
what's been going on in the playoffs. Here's which teams we like, all that kind of stuff.
We'll go through the playoffs at first. League news, like Chauncey Billups just got hired by the Trailblazers.
That is super cool. I was very happy for him. Big Chauncey
but now you have Damian Lillard and Yusuf Nurkic coming out and being like, yeah, we don't want to be there anymore.
Oh, whoa.
Because Lillard thinks
if Lillard leaves, that team's not going to be very
good. He
good.
Thinks that they're not doing enough to become a title contender. Which, in my opinion, they're not title contenders. They're a playoff team. They're not a title contender.
Perennial playoff team. They just He's gonna need some more pieces. He needs maybe two other guys.
We just trade Jamal Murray for Damian Lillard, and then we can become NBA champions next year.
I'm a big Damian Lillard guy. That guy's a beast.
But yeah, we could discuss all of that, like the nice stuff before, and then at the end of the episode, we can just shit on him.
to give anyone an update who doesn't know,
we should also do a fantasy football series.
We had so much fun doing that every week last year. The Western Conference right now, the Phoenix Suns are leading 3-2. I think the Clippers were down 3-1 going into last night's game, and Paul George went off, had some crazy game, and kept them in the series. But I think Phoenix is probably going to close them out.
Will. Yeah.
I think they're just a better team, especially with LA playing without Kawhi. Kawhi's been out for a month now. I think Phoenix is probably going to win that one. So we're probably looking at Phoenix out of the West, and then the East right now, Milwaukee's up 2-1, but Atlanta's got a 24-point lead right now in Game 4 with 4 minutes to go. So they're probably going to win tonight and even that up at 2-2. So it kind of remains to be seen who's going to come out of the East.
I would like to see a Phoenix-Milwaukee. Honestly, Phoenix versus anybody.
Dude,
is really
I would be.
See.
I think I've mentioned this before, but I would really like to see Giannis make it to the finals and play on that big stage and maybe get his first championship because I'm a big Giannis guy. But it's really cool and refreshing to see Atlanta this deep in the playoffs. And I'm a big fan of Trae Young, too. It's just kind of fun to watch new faces and new teams going this deep into the playoffs because we're just not used to this.
It's
always kind of the same teams.
But I am happy that the Nets aren't in it or the Lakers because fuck both those teams.
Yeah, I was very relieved when the Nets got bounced by
I was
Milwaukee.
relieved when the Suns 4-2'd the Lakers, and I was relieved when Brooklyn got bounced in Game 7 by Milwaukee as well because I can't stand James Harden. I can't stand Kevin Durant. I can't stand LeBron James. I can't stand the Lakers. I had no problem with the Nets because they used to be an 8-win team every year.
Yeah, Brooklyn's been really bad. I think that's one of the things that's kind of blowing my mind about Phoenix, too, is Phoenix has been bad for several years
But you
now.
think being bad for so long and getting high draft picks every single year would start to yield some returns. I mean, the Nuggets, they were awful for such a long time, and then we traded away all of our good first-round picks for nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, imagine if we had Donovan Mitchell on our team.
Dude, Donovan Mitchell's so good.
But we traded him away for Trey Lyles and Tyler Lydon, I'm pretty sure, is what the pick came to be.
Yeah, who and who?
Exactly. So, I don't know. I just don't like the NBA. I got strong opinions on it.
So is that going to be our NBA episode? Is basically you're just being I hate the NBA and here's why?
I mean, I'll say some positive things about it.
We don't have to talk about the NBA if you don't want to.
But it's just annoying that it's just a bunch of divas.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, we've gone into this before.
They bitch and moan about everything. Someone sneezes in the stands, they fall down. It's like watching soccer.
You know what my brother was actually saying the other day, right after we were talking about that on the podcast, I think during the Shooting the Shit episode, is he literally said the same thing I was saying. He was going, why are we pretending the travel rule is still a rule?
Right.
Take it out of the rule book because clearly no one enforces it. So
or it gets enforced and it's a 2.5 step and you're why did you call travel on that? But this guy can run from the baseline.
Or just make it
the other
4
baseline.
steps. Traveling is now 4 steps, not 3.
Or just enforce the rule that's been in the game for fucking.
But
they're not. Yeah,
they're not doing that though. That's my thing. Is why do we have this in the rule book if we're clearly just not addressing it?
If I was an NBA official, if I was an official in any sport, I would ref by the rule book, but I would also ref by a rule book of my own making by saying, the fouls they call in the NBA, I would sit there and be I'm not calling a foul. And then if they get up in my face, now the refs can just call technicals. So I would just be it's not a foul. If you want to get in my face, I'll call a foul. And then they get in my face and I just tee them up.
Dude.
And then I go,
here's a question for you.
Quit being a little bitch. Play the game.
Here's a question for you. If you had to go ref let's say a high school game in any sport, what do you think you would be the most confident being
football.
A ref in? You think football?
Football because there's a team out there of refs.
True.
I'm not the only,
that your responsibilities are a little bit more specific.
Right.
Instead of being you're kind of reffing the whole thing.
Right. And I mean, if you think about it in terms of, sure, you can make bad calls in football, but there's a lot more leeway in football than almost all other sports when it comes to certain calls. Every sport has bad calls and good calls, but being an umpire in baseball or softball, fuck no. I've been a heckling fan at high school baseball games and shit when I was a high schooler, and I feel like I made umpires go home and be I'm not ever umpiring for that team at that field
Yeah.
ever again.
Well, and the
because
thing-
that one little asshole 16-year-old
Right.
didn't shut up the
Yeah.
whole day.
And with baseball, especially if you're at home, at least if you're out in the field, like
Right,
you're
that's
away from the
easy.
fans. But if you're a home plate umpire, you're just stuck like 10 feet away from all the fans, and
Well,
they could be
and baseball's pretty much only balls and strikes that are where it's like
right.
super close, more or less,
Yeah.
as far as where the controversy comes in.
Right.
There can be controversy of, oh, was he safe? And it's like, it's kind of one of those, there's that saying, tie goes to the runner, and I guess
Yeah.
there's the rule of it. I don't know the rule book, but,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. If it's that close, you can't be upset if it goes either way. You kind of
Yeah.
got to accept
Yeah.
whatever the ump calls. They're people, too. They're going to make mistakes.
I've always had a lot of sympathy for refs, although I will admit I have, blatantly bad refs infuriate me because it's like
You mean like the ref that kicked Jokic out of an elimination game for what they say is a flagrant 2 foul when
Yeah,
he
there you go.
barely glanced his face and the guy lays on the ground like it was the end of the world. If I was at that game and I was like sitting courtside, I would have just like pulled tissues out of my pocket or something and thrown them at him, and then like kicked him and been like, well, at least now he's got a reason to stay down, and now I don't have to come back to any more of these stupid ass games. But I can't afford courtside seats, so.
I've had a lot of sympathy for refs because it's a hard job. I mean, it really is.
It is, but they also signed up
think,
for it.
Yes, and that's why the ones who are blatantly bad infuriate me the most, because it's like, especially if you can see, how some of them, I'm sure you had refs when you were playing Little League sports that you saw all the time, and like they reffed your games for years.
Oh yeah.
So like they have lots of practice. They've reffed an insane amount of games, and they're still bad. And you're like, why are you this bad? And if you're this bad, why are you still doing it? Like, you should be better at this by now. You've reffed how many hundreds of games?
A prime example of that is our sophomore year in high school. I think it was a JV game. We called it like the Ice Bowl when we played ranch JV, and it was literally like negative 40 degrees, and the turf field was just frozen. Like, it was literally a sheet of ice. Well, my neighbor at the time was reffing the game. We had just gotten like a 40-yard run. I was on the O-line, so that was good for us. We get up, and one of the ranch kids just goes, fuck. And I'm just walking back to the huddle. Well, the ref threw his flag, and he calls unsportsmanlike on me for saying fuck.
Oh, he called it on you.
I turn around, and I'm in the huddle. I think it was Graham or somebody was screaming my name to get off the field. Go to the sideline, I'm like, what? And he goes, what did you do to get a penalty? And I was like, I didn't do anything. And so they ask him, and they go, my neighbor literally goes, well, I heard someone yell fuck, and he was the first one I saw.
Oh, my God.
And so Garrett at the time goes, Coach, it wasn't Matt. He didn't say anything. And I was like, why would I say something when we just had a huge play that was in our favor? And so after the game,
well, and why is he calling a penalty on someone he doesn't clearly know who did it? Like, he's just going to turn around and just pick a number? And be like,
right. And so after
the
the game, we went down, it was a couple days later, and I go, why did you call a penalty on me? And this past weekend's game, and he goes, did you not say it? And I was like, no. Why would I say that when we just had a great play? And he goes, I don't know. I just called it on the first person I saw, and I guess that was you.
Oh,
and I was like,
come on.
Like, if you're going to be a ref, you got to be like, my biggest thing with any professional sports is their consistency.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go back to baseball. If you're going to call balls and strikes for one team, you better be consistent in where you're calling the balls and strikes for the other team.
That's something that I think anyone who's played baseball or watched baseball before, that's all we're asking. If you're going to call, like, within a certain strike zone, strikes, then you better be calling it for both teams.
And then I won't have an issue with it, and neither will the neither will
because
the teams
it's like,
out
okay,
there.
we both need to adjust now. The strike zone is a little bit bigger or a little bit wider than we thought it was, but now we both know. But if it's like you're only calling it strikes for one pitcher and not for another pitcher, like that's when it's like, hey man, like you got to get this fucking
this is a
figured
bunch of
out
bullshit.
here. Yeah.
But like I do the same thing with all sports, like holding in football. Or, roughing the like whatever this new roughing the passer bullshit is. I don't give a fuck who has the ball. It's football. Hit him. I don't care if it's Tom Brady as a quarterback. Hit him.
Dude, some of these the last few years, I'm sure someone's put together
the vines that they put out there.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Brady
I'm sure someone's put together vines or YouTube videos or whatever of people just running by and like swiping and not even hitting quarterbacks and getting these pass interference calls, not pass interference, roughing the passer calls. And you're like,
but then they do it to a different quarterback,
and
it's
and then
they don't call it. And I'm like, well, is it just because it's not Brady 12 on the back of that jersey?
You'll turn around and see some guy get like buried into the turf, and it's just nothing. That's fine.
Like, that was clean.
Okay,
but then at the same time, I have an issue with some athletes like Cam Newton coming out and being like, they don't protect me like they protect other, quarterbacks. And I go, okay, well, Tom Brady, if he leaves the pocket, he doesn't get hit. Because he knows he doesn't need to get hit. So he either slides or he gets out of bounds.
Yeah.
You, get to the sideline and stop. You're still in bounds. If I was a defensive player, I'd light you up too.
Yeah.
As soon as you're out of the pocket, you're a runner.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are as a quarterback. Unless you give yourself up, all right, let's go. Hitting drills. But no,
Dude,
they sit there and they complain.
Here's a question for you. King asked me this the other night. So we were at dinner.
Yes, I did play in the Rose Bowl, King.
He was like, "How do you think you would do right now if you had to go through like a full football practice?"
I'd pass out.
Dude, I'm in such bad shape, and I'm so much older now than I was when I was playing football. My body, I said first things first, I would for sure pull a hamstring, like immediately.
My fat ass on
I would pull a hamstring.
Like if it was a high school practice, my fat ass from our blue line around the goalpost back to like the yard lines, I would 100% pass out.
Oh, dude, it'd be so bad.
Or I'd be like yakking up.
And just like the first big hit too, I would just feel everything kind of crack and explode and be like, "Wow, this is gonna feel terrible tomorrow." But I would 100% pull a hamstring. I don't have a doubt in my mind.
Oh, my knees would probably blow out my asshole.
I don't think
Get in a stance again every single second.
I don't think
trying to be explosive.
When was the last time you think you've legitimately sprinted?
Brandon and I did workouts. 2019. We did some workouts at Thunder Ridge where we were doing some
you did like some actual
agility drills and stuff like that. We were sprinting, and let me tell you what, I fucked my back up so bad with the change in directions. You go from sitting in your house on a chair, going to work, sitting in your work on a chair,
the office job,
to then just yeet.
Yeah,
and you got done. You're like, I felt
the hard
good.
Stop and go the other direction.
I go to roll out of bed the next day, and I was like, ah,
my back.
So it's one of those like things where you got to like move your whole body at once, and you like slowly roll out of bed, and then I stood up, and I'm like, I literally couldn't like bend over, like it was bad. After that, I retired sprinting.
I don't even know when the last time I fully sprinted was. I couldn't even tell you. I mean, I've like jogged and like ran places briefly, but like.
My belly would probably just pull me down to the ground. I'd get in like a sprinting stance and I'd just collapse over my arms.
It's funny. It's like starting to like really make sense how like, I tried to get my dad to come like play basketball with me and stuff in the driveway or whatever in high school when like I'm in very good physical condition, playing
like
football, playing basketball. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, I don't know, like my back kind of hurts and all this kind of stuff." He's got to get like all warmed up and everything. Like it makes sense now because I'm going to be 28 in August and I already have to do that.
Dude,
I can't even imagine being like 55, 60 years old and trying to like
when we go play basketball,
go run around on a court and play basketball. I would
when we go play basketball now, we literally all go through stretching routines.
Yeah, it's sad.
And then when we used to play basketball in high school,
you could just hop out of the car, go straight to the court,
eat a whole bag of flaming hot Cheetos, and just literally play like
and be fine.
4 hours.
Yeah.
Now, if we did that, we'd hop out of the car. We'd immediately have heartburn. We'd pull a hamstring. Then we'd go shit fire in like 20 minutes.
And we'd all have to like hydrate, get a bunch of water, go through a stretching routine.
We'd play 3 games, and we're all like,
Well, most of the time we play like 1 game with the intention of playing 3, and it's like, yeah, you guys good? I don't know if I can.
That's because we've been playing when it's like 91 degrees out lately, and that just zaps you.
Yeah,
like you're out there in this. Even like if you go to a pool and it's that hot, and you go back in the house, you're like, man, I'm just tired.
Yeah, it zaps.
Let alone
you,
playing a game like when we play a good game of 21, it's intense.
Dude, I miss playing basketball. Man, we haven't been in a while. I love playing basketball.
Yeah, because we don't have any refs there. Could you imagine how quickly we'd all foul out if we had refs at a game? Every turnover.
It would take us forever. Yeah, it would take us forever to actually get to 21. I know that much.
The ref would be like, all right, you guys only paid me to be here for 3 hours. I'm like, yeah, well, no one's to 21 yet. It's 11 to 6 to 4.
I love how some of those games, if we haven't played in a while, we'll be playing for like 35 minutes and no one's reached 10 points.
Or it's the opposite. We'll be playing for like 10 minutes and someone's at like 15 already.
Yeah,
and we're like, holy shit. Do you miss?
Oh, man. Good times.
Yeah, but those are all gone.
They're all gone now.
So me and you'll have to find a new 21 partner.
Yeah.
I don't know who plays basketball that would play with us. That would be like on a fair playing level. Because I feel like we're all three, like we all have different skill sets, but we all kind of like can play well
it's
against
competitive.
each other.
No one's like way worse or way better than anyone
There's
else.
like certain days where none of us shoot well, and then there's certain days where one of us shoots well, and then there's certain days where we're all like neck and neck, and it's just like who can make the critical free throws to keep the ball.
Do you remember a few New Year's ago? I think Kendall was there. I was talking about how I miss playing basketball all the time. Like
that was at your parents'
games.
house.
Was it at my parents' house or was it at Zach's parents' house? I don't know. Anyway, wherever we were, he was like, dude, if you want to play, I'm in a league with a bunch of guys who used to play college ball and all that kind of stuff. And as soon as he said that, I was like, yeah, I don't know. That might be a little more than I'm
I was thinking like YMCA.
Yeah, I was like, I'm kind of thinking like, guys who didn't play college basketball, guys who like have relatively some sort of skill but are not like going to be dunking on me every other play.
Right. No. If I play in a league, I feel like I'd rather do like a flag football league or like one of those like co-ed kickball leagues. Where I can go like stand out there and then I'm like, all right, just don't blow out a knee when you plant to kick the ball. And it's like, boom. It's like, all right, don't blow out a knee when you turn first. Slow it down,
That's why the beer league softball games are always so fun is because you can get, I mean, it literally doesn't matter what your talent level is, how sober you are, how old you are. It's like, just come out and play. We're just having fun.
I used to play in an all men's beer league, but it was more of like it was more laid back than some of those leagues. Like you'd go to Redstone and you see like they're in their full like uniforms. Yeah. And I'm like, are you tryhards? Sliding into second base.
That's my thing is like, I haven't ever actually played. I've gone and watched a bunch of people play like the beer league softball. In a tournament. Yeah. But I've never actually participated. But that's one of those things that I feel like if I was on a team, I would always be nervous to show up to figure out like what is the other team going to look like when we get here? Like, is it going to be
fun?
A bunch of tryhards, or is it going to be a bunch of people like us who are just kind of like, we got a 30 rack of beer in the dugout and we're just here to hang out for 2 hours and like, fuck around.
I think I'm such a competitive person. I want to win every time, but I also would like look around and like when I played on the team, it was me and like Dylan Manigo. We played on his dad's team. Mm-hmm. And we were pretty competitive. We were a pretty good team. There were some old guys on there that it was like, what are you doing out here? And then there was like younger guys on there that was like, we can make this, fill in the gaps of this team. Yeah. And we had a good team. Like we were competitive. We took second in like the last year we played. And it was fucking fun. We were sponsored by Platte River Bar and Grill.
That's cool.
It was a fucking fun time. But then there would be like, we'd get into fights and, I'm in the outfield and like, You
mean against other teams?
Right. But like it wouldn't be necessarily physical all the time, but it would be
like arguments,
verbal, going back and forth, and it's kind of an unwritten rule in like co-ed softball or adult softball that you try never to hit it back to the pitcher because they're so close.
Right.
And you can really get force behind it.
Yeah.
And one of the times, I think it was Dylan's dad was pitching for us, he took a ball right off the kneecap.
Oof.
And he had like a knee brace on or something, and he's cussing at this guy, and the guy never apologized or anything. And I mean, it was about to like go to blows. Like their dugout came out, we all went running in, and the ump just goes, all right, we're done. We're done.
Yeah, he's like, I don't get paid enough for this shit.
And, we ended up winning that game, but it was one of those things that's just like, I'm competitive, but I'm not that competitive. Like,
well, and I think for something like that, I mean, the guy can't exactly control where the ball goes when he hits it.
No, but like I played, a couple games with Megan's team, or I'd go watch her play with her dad and their co-ed team at Redstone, and some teams would show up and they're like super tryhards, like the guys would cut girls off making plays, and they wouldn't let the girls make plays. But then you also have the teams that the girls were making all of the plays, and it was just some of those. It's like, it's fun to be competitive, but like, come on, we're out here to have fun. Like this should be a fun thing for everyone to be out here, and not necessarily I'm trying to rip everyone's head off. Like, I hit back at the pitcher at the tournament you were at, and I was safe, and I went back and I went out to him. I'm like, hey, sorry about that. Like, I didn't mean to. And he goes, oh, no, good. It was a nice hit. But I'm like, I get it's a nice hit, but like, I don't want to take your head off. I'm not here to do that. I didn't.
See, I think I think there's leagues for the people who want to still be very competitive, and then there's leagues for people who just kind of want to go like treat it as a social occasion.
There should be different divisions, but then there's those try-hard teams that are like, oh, we can't win in the try-hard league,
so we're gonna
go down to the beer league and just
and like try really
people.
hard and bury everyone. Yeah, which is ridiculous. It's like, dude, you're playing against a bunch of drunk like 40-somethings. Like,
oh, dude, if I ever say like we did get into a league like that and we were playing a bunch of tryhards, I would have no problem just talking shit the whole time.
Oh yeah, that's what half the fun is.
And then they'd be like, "You want to fight?" And I'd be like, "Nah, sorry." I let the scoreboard do the talking, even though we'd be down like 40. Like, you're losing. I'd be like, "Oh, shucks. Guess I need to go back to reading." Just you got to keep agreeing with them because it makes them more and more angry.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's what the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 lobbies have taught me.
Dude,
the more you agree with people, the more they keep going.
Those Call of Duty Modern Warfare lobbies.
That's why today's. That's why today's kids are so soft. Because
that's why those youngsters these days, those kids these days,
so soft, just soft.
I wouldn't know. I haven't played video games in like 37
When I
years,
have kids, if they want to play video games and there's an in-game chat, they're never allowed to be in party chats. They got to go straight in-game. And if they get offended by what is said, then I'm taking whatever console they have and throwing it away.
Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Are you going to play video games against your kid and just beat the living shit out of him in every video game?
Oh, yeah.
And never take it easy on him?
I'd be like, you can either play outside or you can play me in a game again. They're like, I'm going outside. I'm like, exactly. That's why I play games, to keep you outside. Because we were raised outside.
But why don't you let me win? Like, no, you got to learn how to beat me.
Yeah. I always tell people it's better to learn to lose than learn to win. Because when you learn to lose, when you win for the first time, you get that feeling of like success. Whereas if you're constantly always winning, then you lose the first time, you're just a bitch. You're a sore loser. You've never been there before. So it's easier if you learn to lose because then you appreciate when you get a win.
Yeah, I would say that's sage advice from an old man.
But
like
my
you.
kids will never lose.
Oh, okay.
But they won't get participation awards either.
All right.
And if they cry if they lose, then they're just not allowed to play sports anymore.
I thought they were never going to lose.
That's why I said they won't play sports anymore. They'll lose once and that's it.
Oh, that's pretty high bar you set there.
And if they're like, say they're a pitcher in the MLB, they better throw no hitters every time they're on the mound.
Wow.
Perfect games.
Oh, perfect games. Not even no hitters.
Well, speaking of that though, German Marquez just had a no hitter broken in the top of the ninth for the Rockies.
Oh, damn. Is that what all these ESPN notifications are coming through?
Half of them are, and then half of them are like, Twitter responds to Giannis going down.
I've always thought, okay, nah, I'm not getting in that. Never mind. As soon as I say something sometimes, I'm like, this is going to get into like a political like world discussion, and I'm not getting into it. It's not the time or the place.
Yeah, just Browsin, where we do not talk politics. Because
I actually had some family in town for the wedding this past weekend. They were asking like what we talk about on here, and I was like, well, basically anything other than politics. Like literally anything.
To politics.
Yeah, like whatever you want, as long as it doesn't get political. That we're down.
It's because there's like you can have friendly discussions or friendly arguments about literally every topic, but it seems this day and age you can't have a friendly discussion where two sides don't agree on politics.
Yeah.
Like if I believe in one thing and you believe in a different thing, we should never be able to be friends according to today's society.
Yeah. Even though like it's perfectly acceptable to not believe the same things and still be
even though it is because we all believe in different things and we're all still friends.
Yeah.
At least some of us are still friends.
Right. Well, you want to wrap this up?
Yeah.
That's pretty good shooting the shit. How long have we been going here?
Almost an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, nice.
So
next up is MCU bracket. Is that what we're doing next?
Next up we can do let's think this one through because 4th of July weekend's coming up.
Right.
So everybody out there here in the US, have a great 4th of July weekend.
Yes.
Get drunk, shoot fireworks off.
Definitely.
Celebrate our independence and our freedom. Okay, into that. But I have Monday off.
So do I.
And then
so we can record Monday if you want.
We could either do Monday because then we leave on Thursday.
True.
So it's got to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Probably, I would say Monday or Tuesday would be our best bets.
I would be super down for Monday because I am off Monday. Because it's observed.
Right.
Which is kind of bizarre to me. I mean, I'm not complaining. I like the day off, but it's like you're observing the 4th of July on the 5th.
I only have 2 days to work that week.
Yeah, me too. I'm literally
and then
working
the next
Tuesday
week
and
I only
Wednesday.
work 3
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, I think I'm the same way.
It's great. So no, I think if we do it, yeah, we can plan on doing it Monday or Tuesday. Because I feel like Wednesday we'll probably want to be.
And it'll be MCU bracket. So we
It'll
got to
be-
build it.
we
We
gotta-
got to have it ready, have
Yep.
it posted, and then we'll record, go through our picks. And I will, at the beginning of that episode, I will bring in the Pixar movie brackets that have been filled out.
Right.
We'll go over those, see what some of the other results
So
were.
it will be a longer episode for those of you that have listened this far. Our MCU bracket episode will be I'd probably say an hour and a half minimum, maybe, as far as the podcast goes. The stream might be longer.
Yeah. Wait, yeah. We're going to get into it.
So
I can get into it with the MCU. And I kind of want to talk about the MCU shows, too, when we do that. But anyway, keep going. So we're doing MCU next.
So we'll do MCU next, and we'll probably do that Monday or Tuesday. Well, we'll have to do it Monday or Tuesday of next week.
Yeah.
And then I think we can probably decide what we want to do. We probably don't want to have anything we have to plan for after the next weekend.
So probably not a good idea to do like the Disney bracket right after that. Maybe we'll save that for a couple episodes.
Yeah, we
down
could
the
probably
line.
do like an NBA playoff one if we want to, because there's not
Okay.
much to plan for.
Yeah.
We'll have a long weekend coming into that next episode. So,
we will. Our brains will be fried a little bit, probably.
so we'll want to have a non-thinking episode. But yeah, I would say, we'll do it the MCU next. We'll work behind the scenes to get that bracket loaded and into the Podbean website, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So you don't want to do the quantum physics and the many worlds
No.
theory right when we get back from Vegas?
No. Maybe we can talk
It's
about
probably not a good
Vegas.
idea.
Maybe we'll just talk about like the bright lights of Vegas and see what they're all about. But no, for those of you that did tune in, thank you. We appreciate all your love and support. Again, we are streaming live all of our episodes on Twitch at twitch.tv/The Just Browsin Podcast. If you want to come chat with us live, we do see those chats. And it is live, so we will respond immediately. But yeah, thanks for all the love and support. We're out on all the social medias, and we'll be back here in a week and with another bracket, but this time of Marvel movies.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for that one.
So
get ready. Do your Marvel research. Hop on Disney Plus. Watch some Marvel movies. And check out the bracket before next week's episode.
yep, and we'll be back.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Until next
everybody.
time.
But now for all of you 0 viewers in stream. Actually, it
Yeah,
says we
this
have
is-
1. Let's see who it is.
We did kind of have a dead...
That's right. It says Academy Impossible.
What's up,
Don't know.
Academy Impossible?
Don't know. It's probably a bot.
Probably.
That's all right. We didn't have a topic necessarily to talk about. We'll get there eventually.
Well, maybe putting this out on the Instagram will get people to create Twitch accounts. And then next time we do that, I'll be like, hey, we're going live. And then they can log into their
Right.
Twitch thing. And
Yeah, it's just like I said. I think this one will take longer. I think than the podcast itself growing,
Yeah.
because this one you kind of have to have that time while
well,
we're
and
live.
we've been doing the podcast for almost
Almost
a
a
year
year.
now. And we've done the Twitch. This is the third time. So
right.
we should do... I think we should do... Because I think August 1 is our, to the date, our 1 year, anniversary, I think.
As far as when we uploaded our first episode?
like when the first episode was uploaded. So I want to do a special 1 year anniversary episode. That would be fun. And then I think we should do one to
I think we should do
commemorate
1,000 downloads.
like 1,000 download episode 1 as well. That'd be fun.
Let's
Because we're
see.
creeping up on that.
So our
ever so
stats
slowly.
seem to be wrong as of late, in my opinion. But we did get a new international listen in France.
Wow.
So we got someone in France that did download. We had 2 downloads in Canada, and this is just in the past month.
I like it.
But yeah, if you see here, it doesn't show the France, but we do have a Czech Republic.
That's so crazy to me. India.
But it doesn't show the French download here. So the stats right now might be a little off. And then here it says 884 downloads, but then up here
Yeah,
it
that
says
seems-
945.
Right. I don't really follow that.
So
All-time downloads you'd think would be the same as the downloads from June 2019 to May
Right.
2021. But anyway.
But,
So let's go with the 945
let's-
number, and we're
Right.
We're creeping
That's
up.
what we'll use.
We're creeping up.
But like in our last 30 days, we had 63 downloads.
Nice.
It's pretty good. We're
Nice.
cranking out some good episodes. Our first ever was August 1st. Yep. And we had 53 downloads. Actually, so we had 2 August 1st. That was our pick 2. We had 50 downloads on our pick 2.
Nice. That was a fun
We need
one.
to do that again, but we'll have to do like
Yeah.
a different.
Barstool's putting those ideas out there all the time, and we could come up with our own too.
Yeah, we'll have to look at those because then we can post those on the
You
same
know
page.
what we could do? You know what I found? So I went and actually like deleted my Twitter that I had from like years ago. I did this like I hadn't even logged in and used Twitter in like probably 3 years, so I went and finally deleted it. But I was going through old tweets. You know what you and I did that we should do as a podcast idea episode is like the ultimate movie swordsman bracket.
Oh,
Remember that?
Yeah, we did that we were going to do that on like a Reddit post.
Yeah, we came up with like a bracket of like the ultimate like swordsman from like fictional movies. So we had like Aragon and we had like Leonidas from 300 and like all these like badass swordsmen, you know what I mean? That would be a fun one. And we could have like there's a bunch of characters from Game of Thrones you could put in there probably.
Oh yeah.
Even like Star Wars, you could put like Jedi in there.
Oh yeah.
Although I feel like a Jedi versus someone with a metal sword doesn't really stand a chance.
I think you would have to do skills, not weapon.
Okay, yeah.
So you'd be like
if they were like the same type of sword,
right?
Who wins?
So you give your swordsmen
and no force abilities,
Right. So it just purely sword
play.
skills.
Yeah.
Imagine like a.
Because like, does Obi-Wan beat Aragon from the Lord of the Rings? Obi-Wan's pretty sick with the fucking sword, man.
Yeah, but Aragon's like legit with the sword. Like legit.
I feel like that would be our entire discussion. We would just come to matchups, and I'd be like, "Bro, he's sick with the sword," and you'd be like, "Bro, this guy's sick with the sword."
I mean, if you take the force out of it, I would think some of the moves that like a Jedi does, like with their jumping and their crazy shit like that, would be eliminated because that would be more of a forceful.
Yeah, I think they're kind of using the force
energy
when they do that. But even with just the sword play and no force, Obi-Wan was pretty fucking sick with the sword. Like he was whipping that. He's quick. He's really quick.
But Aragon also beat fucking like giants and trolls and shit like that. So
True.
he not only had he fought power and army size, he's fought.
We'll have to have like our scouting reports for each of the guys too.
But yeah, Aragon came in at 6'3", 215. Obi-Wan came in about 5'8". So Aragon's reach is about 78 inches, whereas Obi-Wan's is about 72. So the 6-inch reach with a 36-inch sword really gives him a big advantage.
Like I think we give Obi-Wan the advantage on the quickness, but I think in terms of total
strength and stamina,
Aragon gets the nod.
That would be fucking hilarious.
That'd
We
be fun.
analyze everything. But then you're like, well, okay, so for Game of Thrones, do you call her Aya
Arya.
or Arya?
Why do you keep saying Aya?
Because that's what the English part of their accent will pronounce it like that.
Aya. Arya.
Yeah, so it's like Arya Stark.
Hi, I'm Arya Stark.
So it kind of sounds like Aya.
Arya Stark. I don't know. I have to hear her say
But
it.
she's
But
got
it's
good
Arya.
sword skills.
Oh.
Right, it's Arya.
Arya's fucking sick with the sword. So is like Brienne of Tarth, and so is like Jaime Lannister, and so is Bronn.
Yeah.
And who else? Oh, dude, you got like the Viper. Although he uses a spear, basically, doesn't he? When he fights the mountain.
Yeah.
He's like twirling that shit around. I think it's like a spear,
half.
I think. So he's not really a
I mean, you
sword
could do
guy, but
the Hound. The Hound's probably the best fighter in the movie or the show.
he
in my
kind of
opinion.
is. Like that guy doesn't really lose a fight.
No, because at the end he's fighting the Mountain, who's supposed to be this genetic psychopath.
Yeah, and he just like tackles him out of the fucking
yeah.
wall. Yeah, and they both just fall into.
I literally just watched the episode.
Fuck! I should rewatch that show.
I'm in season 2, so you're gonna have to.
You're like, trust me, I'm balls deep in it right now.
You want to watch season 2, episode 6?
Dude, we should. I think another idea, we should revisit Game of Thrones once you're done with it again, because I have finished the book, and I would like to talk to you some about the prequel book that he made, that he wrote kind of like as a historical fiction novel about the history of the Targaryens.
Right.
Pretty fascinating shit.
Dude, I would be so down because I'm ingesting more of it this time because
Yeah.
I'm not like speed running through it, so I'm not
Yeah.
like just trying to like get all of it in one. Yeah, it would be. I mean, because the more I watch it, again, like I remember things that happen, but I'm picking up on smaller details, which end up playing a role later on.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a great story.
So good,
It's
bro.
such a complicated story too.
I could literally. This is one of those shows that I could finish and just rewatch again.
It's excellent.
And then I'd get to the point where
I picked it as my favorite show of all time. So
what did I pick as my favorite show of all time?
I don't
The
know,
Office,
what did you pick?
I think.
Did you pick The Office?
Yeah, I think it had to be The Office.
Let me look right now. I'm pretty sure I have. Let me see which years I've gone back and redone as movie lists, because I'm pretty sure maybe I've done all the way up. Oh, I think I've done all the way up to 2018.
Great year, great vintage.
Great vintage, dude. And I think, remember we were talking about, I think a fun one would be to compile all of what were we doing? All of the movies or all of the top fives?
We were going to do all the top fives and then make a top five out of that. Or we could do our top fives. What if we did this? How many years did we go back? 2013?
We went back to 2013. So we really
13,
have
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
So
That's
8 years worth
40. So we could almost make a 64 movie bracket out of our
the
top fives. And one side would be your
that would
top
be
fives. One side would be my top five. And then we each just go through our bracket. So you only fill out half and I only fill out half. And then we debate our winners.
I think that'd be fun. So what we need to do, okay, so I've done all the way up to 2018. I haven't done 2019 or 2020 yet. But I've
so
gone
do we want
back.
to do... I feel like we should do that before, though. We should just do like our top five priors. Like it'll just be its own episode. And then we'll do a go back. So before we go back to all of the years, we take our original top fives, right? From every year. We get it down to 32 on each side, so we'll have to eliminate 8 from each of us.
Okay.
You'll fill out your half of the bracket. I'll fill out my half of the bracket, and then we go through each of us fill out our sides of the bracket, and then we have a debate on our champion of the movie. And if it's the same movie, we have to bring up like counterpoints of the other person, like as far as
interesting.
And then we go back and we do the whole flashback, and then we can redo the bracket of our new top fives and see what changes.
There's a lot of ways we could go with this, because I remember when we were first talking about it, we were going, okay, we go back, like we say we go back and do 2013 redo or 2013 part 2. And it's like, okay, here's the ones that I've seen since then from 2013 when I fill out the list the original time. Here's what my new top 5 would be, and if it's the same or if it's changed by 1 or 2 movies, whatever.
Right.
And then we work our way back through, do every episode, and then go at the end, okay, we've taken the list of all of our top 5s from every year and put them on one big list, and we've picked a top 5 from that list. Right. And said, like, this is my ultimate top 5 of every movie that's been released since 2013 that I've seen or that you've seen.
Right. But I'm talking...
Yeah, you were saying something different, though.
So I'm saying as far as the entire... So we did the movie flashback miniseries, what we call it.
Yeah.
And we're going to go back and we're going to, not redo it, but we're going to add
kind of
it.
like amend them a little
bit. Right.
Yeah,
So it's going to be like a movie... Or we'll do like a 2013 movie flashback, rewind or something like that.
Yeah.
And so my thought was before we do that, we can either do a bracket where we do my 32 on one side and your 32 on another side. And we each fill in just our half of the bracket.
And you're saying we're getting these 32
from our top 5s.
The top 5s from
each... all of the years.
From all of them.
Right.
So you're saying, like, okay,
so from the 8 years we did this.
Yeah, here's all of the top 5s I put together.
Right.
Here's the 32 of those I want to put on one side.
And then
of the
you seed them 1 through 32 for yours. I seed them 1 through 32 for mine. And then we have a 64 team bracket that fights each other, but it's 32 of your movies against 32 of my movies. Whether they're the same or different doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, because
then-
we are going to have some of the same movies for sure.
Right. And then whoever we get to our championship game, if it's the same movies, then we have to sit there and be like, oh shit, now we got to figure out how we're going to discuss this. Or we go, I think that would be, because that'd be kind of a interesting, like a different bracket that we've ever done.
Yeah.
And I know it's another bracket, but those are really fucking fun, and we do well with those episodes.
Brackets are fun, man. They're fun.
So we could do it that way.
Okay.
Or
we'll have to strategize that one a little bit.
Right. This one would have to be in the future. But I would say if we were going to do it that, or even if we do it this, we compile all of the top fives for both of us, and then we pick our top fives out of those top fives from what we've already done before we do a rewind of what we've already. So, like, before we go back to 2013, let's pick our top fives out of our top fives that we've already picked.
And do what with them?
Just pick them. That would be, like, our other part of the episode.
Oh.
So instead of doing a bracket, we would just sit here and be like, okay, these were my 40 top 5 movies.
I gotcha.
From the
Here's
list, but here's my ultimate top 5 out of our top 5s.
And that could be like a whole episode. Okay.
Right. Or we do the bracket, which would end up almost being the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It would just be kind of fun to, combat each other. And
we should talk about that some more. I like there's a lot of good ideas there.
Because then we can do the rewind and we can just literally remake every episode we did, adding in the movies you've seen.
Yeah.
And then redoing our top 5s. And then at the end of all of it, we can redo, our top 5 again or our bracket again. With the new top 5s.
Yeah. So we got ideas. So we got
that's at least like another 15 episodes right there.
Like we're going to do an MCU movie bracket. We're going to do a war movies podcast. We're going to do a Disney movie bracket. We're going to do a Harry Potter podcast. We're going to do an NBA playoffs podcast. We're going to do we're going to revisit every year of the movie flashbacks. That's like 8 podcasts.
Right.
There.
So we could do like another 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Just on that with adding in 1 or 2 to do like our top 5 champions or our bracket champions.
Yeah. Okay. So what are we doing? The MCU bracket probably won't. Well, it will be next, right?
That's what we
next.
had discussed.
We need to make sure we like build that in between now and like Monday.
Right. Well, I have all of them in that sheet that we had already ranked on IMDb.
Oh, that's right. We already did build that. I forgot.
And so I'll just gonna take the
So
same.
you'll just put them in a bracket then.
And it's gonna be the same bracket as the Pixar.
I kind of forgot we already put them in there.
It's because we didn't load that episode.
Oh, that's right. That's when we were building
That was when we were
and I was like, this is boring as fuck.
We're
not talking about anything.
So
I don't need to be here. I need to be. Because I just called it the MCU movie bracket, and then I put another tab for the Pixar movies. Oh yeah, so here they go. They're all in here with IMDb rankings.
Right. So I'll just put that into the same bracket we did for Pixar, and post it. So it should be fairly quick for me to do.
Yeah, because that one's built for
23
23 movies as well. So
I just have to find the template I used again, and because it does look really nice in the template. Take the screenshot, save it, upload it, on here, and then.
Ooh, so Infinity War has a higher IMDb than Endgame does. That's interesting.
Yeah, and if they're tied, I'm just going with the order that Google sorted it.
Yeah, because a couple of them are 7.9 and 7.8.
Right. So
I
could probably have that made, depending on what I want to do tonight. I'll probably watch another episode or 2 of Game of Thrones, but I could probably have it done tonight and load it on the website.
Sweet.
But yeah, we've got a lot of ideas. And then something that just came into my head, it's another bracket idea, or it could just be an episode idea. But, we've done a lot of movie shit. We could do, like, brackets. We could do, like, a champions bracket.
What's champions? What do you mean?
So every winner that me and you have picked, we put into a bracket.
From anything?
From our shows to movies to
Pixar.
And we'll do it just as far as like a watchability. And we don't have to do an episode, soon with it. But we can just start creating like our, we'll go through and we'll pick our winners from each of our brackets.
Yeah.
And be like, all right, my movie franchise was Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So Harry Potter is mine. Yours was
Star Wars.
So, okay, we have 2 already in different things. TV series, I'm pretty sure mine was The Office.
And mine was Game of Thrones.
And yours was Game of Thrones. So we have 2 to pick. We have,
The Pixar's.
The Pixar's. Mine was WALL-E. Yours was
Monsters
Inc. We have 2 to pick from. We could build a champions bracket of different movies and then really sit there and go, fuck. Because I picked that, I have to choose which one to go. We'll have an MCU in there. Just a single movie to pick from. So we could slowly build a champions bracket, and then we'll be like, to encompass a lot of our brackets that we've made, we're doing a championship bracket of all of our champions.
This really should be called the Just Brackets podcast.
I don't know. We're shooting the shit tonight.
Yeah, we are. There's no bracket tonight.
I mean, for our fair share of brackets that we've done, we've still done a lot of different ones. I mean,
yeah, for sure. For sure.
I do feel bad. Like our worst performing episode ever was a Pixar movie bracket. No,
well, it hadn't even been out that long. I mean,
I'm
we
just
did
getting
that like
worse sorted on when and not downloads all time. All right, let's go to statistics. That's where it'll be better.
Statistics.
Episodes.
Is this filtered for like all time? Oh, this is just for last month.
All episodes.
I think the all time is at the top.
All time.
See, that says 945.
Yeah, so we're going to go off that.
Although it'll just give you your top 10. Is there a way to get more?
Well, don't see it. You'd think you'd be able to click on like these.
Yeah, and like see all of them.
Because like it's not like I can even.
So 53. The introduction has 53.
Got 2 with 50s. Our movie franchise bracket's 40.
Nice.
Best movie franchise.
The NBA GOAT one was pretty popular.
Yeah, it's weird how we don't have any. Oh, we do. What in the NFL? Week 2 recap, 29. Nice.
Yeah, we got 2 NBA ones that are like actually in the top 10.
It's kind of shocking and surprising to me.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Top 10 most downloaded episodes.
You stupid bloody bastards.
It's really hard to trust these Podbean stats. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I've... So, like, here, let me... All right, we're not streaming it, so... Let me put my mic down so I can type.
Should we just end the stream?
We can.
I mean, we're kind of just rambling.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Assholes. No. Yeah, we'll just end it. And this should auto-load to YouTube, so we'll test that feature out. But, yeah, thanks, everybody.